Hello everyone. Let's review shloka number 65 in Lalita Sahasranamam. bhānumaṇḍala madhyasthā bhairavī bhagamālinī padmāsanā bhagavatī padmanābha sahodarī. Before we review the meaning of the namas, a quick recap. In the past few shlokas, what we have been looking at is Devi's omnipresence. That means being anywhere and everywhere, her ability to be anywhere and everywhere. And we saw Devi in the macrocosm, how she is the pure consciousness. And then we also saw Devi in the microcosm, where she is the gross objects we see in the material world during our waking state. And she is the subtle objects we see in our dream state. And she is the pure consciousness which we get to experience in our deep sleep state. So, if Devi is omnipresent and she is anywhere and everywhere in this universe, will she not be within us in our being? And that's what this shloka is trying to point us to. So, let's take a look at the namas. bhānumaṇḍala madhyasthā. Bhānu, as we all know, refers sun. Mandalam can be interpreted as a circle and it is also a region. Madhya means middle and stha means to stand or to stay. So bhānumaṇḍala madhyasthā means one who stays in the middle of the sun region. Let's explore this a little bit further. So we all know in our body there are several chakras. Chakra are energy centers and chakra is a circle. So chakra is an energy center. There are totally 112 chakras within our body and there are 2 chakras that are outside of our body. And out of this 112 chakras, there are 7 major chakras and there are several minor chakras. And one of the major chakra is called Anahata chakra. Anahata chakra is typically pointed near the heart region. And this is the place where we have love, compassion, etc. And just below the Anahata chakra, there is a minor chakra and it's called as Hridaya chakra or Hrit or Surya chakra. And it's said that in this chakra, there are 3 layers. The first outermost layer is called as the sun layer, sun region. The next layer within it is called as the moon region. And there is one more layer within it, which is called as the fire region. And within these 3 layers in the center, there is a kalpavriksha. Kalpavriksha means a wish fulfilling tree. Anything we want, it can materialize. So this is supposed to be the seat of the Parashakti and it is the seat of the Jivatma. Every body, every being has a soul, a Jivatma, and that is in that Hridaya chakra. So this is why we say follow your heart. When we follow our heart, we become capable of manifesting our dreams. That's because the Parashakti is residing in that Hridaya chakra as that wish fulfilling tree and is creating that ability for us to manifest our desires. So bhānumaṇḍala madhyasthā points to Parashakti or that ultimate reality that is residing in us within the Hridaya chakra in the center of the sun, moon and fire region. That's why here it says bhānumaṇḍala madhyasthā. Earlier we saw Chandra Mandala Madhyaga and then you'll also see Vahni Mandala Vasini. Vahni means fire. So that's where she resides. So she's residing within that Hridaya chakra. And the Hridaya chakra's purpose is to get the energy from the sun and translate that into heat, and it also supplies the fire that's required for digestion. So it has a purpose within our body from a functioning of the body, but it is also the seat of the ultimate reality within us. And that's why if you look at in Bhajagovindam, there is a line that says Sendriyamana Niyamat eva drishyasi nija hridayastha devam. That is where when we are disciplined, we control our senses, then we are able to see that ultimate reality that resides in our heart, and that is the Hridaya chakra. Bhairavī. Bhairavi very simply can be interpreted as wife of Bhairava. And we all know Bhairava is Shiva, Shiva in a terrible form. Once when Brahma was very arrogant and he had 5 heads and he thought, oh, I have 5 heads and Shiva has 5 heads, so I'm like Shiva. Then and also he lied in order to prove his superiority, and therefore Shiva actually took this terrible form and cut off the 5th head of Brahma. So Bhairava is a terrible form of Shiva. It's a fearful form of Shiva. So that's one way to look at it. And Bhairava's wife is Bhairavi. But here there is another way to look at it. Bhairavi has bharavi. So bha means bhavayati. Bhavayati means to make something come into existence. In simple words, that means create. Ra references rakshati. Rakshanam means to protect. So rakshati references the sustenance or maintenance of this world or protecting all the devotees. Va references the vadam, to destroy. Vinashayati. So bhairavi means one who creates, sustains or protects and destroys evil. So that Bhairavi, one who creates, sustains and destroys, is residing in the center of the sun region in our Hridaya Chakra. Bhagamālinī. Bhaga is one of the names of Surya, sun. So you can imagine the moment we say sun, what do we think of? Dazzling light, right? Bhagamalini. Mala means a garland. So she is like a garland of suns. What does that mean? That means she is dazzling brilliance. One sun itself is so brilliant. Imagine then a garland of suns. That means that is the light and the brilliance. And typically we always associate light with consciousness. That's why we say when someone is realized, we call them enlightened. That means they have the ability to see things clearly. That means they are no longer within the control of Maya, and they are able to pierce the veil of Maya, and now they know the true reality. There is no perception anymore. They can see the true reality. So light always equals consciousness. So bhānumaṇḍala madhyasthā bhairavī bhagamālinī, residing in the center of the sun region in our heart, that ultimate reality that creates, sustains and destroys can illumine our consciousness. Bhagamalini is the light that illumines our consciousness. She creates this ability for us to expand our consciousness. So that's what this means. Padmāsanā. As we all know, Padma means lotus. Padmāsanā means one who is seated on a lotus. Again, this also has reference to the chakras. So, in the 7 chakras that we have within our body, in Sri Vidya tradition, it is normal to consider each chakra as a lotus. So, the Mooladhara chakra is envisioned as a lotus with 4 petals. The next chakra has 6 petals. The other chakra has 10 petals. So like that, there are many petals within each of those chakras, and the 7th chakra, the total number of petals add up to 50. And we all know Sahasrara is considered as a 1000-petal lotus. So every chakra is envisioned as a lotus, and in the center of the chakra there is a deity. And you'll see further down in all the namas, there is Hakini, Dakini, Lakini, Sakini. Those are all the deities. Each chakra has a presiding deity. And then in each petal are several subordinate deities. And but what is the energy that is residing in every one of these chakra? It is the Kundalini energy. So that's why she is seated in the lotus. That lotus is now here a reference to the chakra. So Padmasana references one who is seated on the lotus. And we've also seen this before, right? Padmam, lotus, has a very important function or an important symbol in Hinduism, and it is in many cultures. So lotus always blooms in muddy waters, and its root is firmly attached to that ground. Yet it can wade through all that muddy water, and without a drop of dirt or water on it, it blooms into this beautiful flower. So that is a metaphor for us all. The muddy water is a samsara. So all of us actually live in this samsara, and our roots are in this samsara. So we can't just completely detach ourselves from the samsara. We have to navigate through this world. Yet, by worshipping Devi, she creates this possibility for us to expand our consciousness. So, the blooming of the lotus is some metaphor for the expansion of our consciousness. So, while being firmly rooted in the samsara, Devi creates this ability for us to expand our consciousness. So, in that, she is Padmasana. And also in yoga, the padmāsanā posture is exactly used for this purpose. So it is supposed to still your body, but it creates this ability for you to improve your awareness, your consciousness, etc. Bhagavatī. So Bhagam also means some excellent attributes. There are 6 attributes that we call as Bhagam. Prosperity, auspiciousness, sarvamangalam, valor, the courage to go fight against something that is not appropriate, fame, knowledge, and detachment. These 6 qualities are called as Bhagam, and anyone who possesses these 6 qualities, we call them Bhagavan. That's why we say Sri Krishna Bhagavan, and generally we say Bhagavan Nama, that references Vishnu. So Bhagavan is someone who possesses all these qualities, and Bhagavatī is also the same. Bhagavatī is someone who has all the 6 qualities of auspiciousness, valor, knowledge, fame, prosperity, and detachment. And she is capable of bestowing all of that to us if we continue to engage with her. Padmanābha sahodarī. Padmanābha, as we all know, is Vishnu. Vishnu has a lotus from his navel, and that's where Brahma is. So that's why he is called as Padmanābha. Sahodarī means sister. So she is the sister of Vishnu. How is she the sister of Vishnu? If you take a step back and think through all the mythology, the stories that have been shared by all our ancestors, nowhere is Devi born in anybody's womb. There is never a point. If you look at Sita, who's a avatar of Mahalakshmi, Sita was just found in a field. When Janaka was plowing the field, he found a baby. If you look at Himavan, who had Parvati as his daughter, then there also she came as a baby. So she was not born, she was found as a baby. And then if you look at Meenakshi, and her parents did the yaga to get a baby, she came as a girl. So in everything, she was always, she manifested, but she never was born in anybody's womb. So then under what context is she the sibling of Vishnu? And while we do Vishnu Sahasranama and Lalita Sahasranama, we find that there are many times there are similarities between Parvati or Gauri and Vishnu. So we see that, or Shakti and Vishnu, there are similarities. And also, if you know the shloka, Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadike Charanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. In that context, Narayani is not wife of Narayana. She is the sister of Narayana, or she is the Shakti of Narayana. So that's what it's reference. So how are they related, and why are they called as siblings, and why are they alike? To understand this, Devi Mahatmyam shows us the way. So in Devi Mahatmyam, it is said that originally there was a Mahalakshmi, and this Mahalakshmi is not the same as the Lakshmi who is the wife of Vishnu. This Mahalakshmi is the ultimate reality who had the Rajogunam. Rajogunam is the attribute that gives dynamism, movement, etc. So at first, the ultimate reality was present as Mahalakshmi with Rajogunam. Then that Mahalakshmi created two other forms with different gunas. And there was Mahakali who had the Tamogunam. So Mahakali is anything, Tamogunam is sleep, destruction, etc. So that is Tamogunam. And then Mahalakshmi also created another one with the Sattva Gunam, and she is called Mahasaraswati. So Sattva Gunam is calm, balanced, very kind and compassionate, etc. So now there are three forms. There is a Mahalakshmi with Rajogunam, there is Mahakali with Tamogunam, and there is Mahasaraswati with Sattva Gunam. And you can actually connect all of this. That Mahalakshmi is nothing but the Mahishasura Mardini. So she did this fierce battle in order to kill Mahishasura. So she is the Mahishasura Mardini. And the Mahakali is the one who comes in the Madhu Kaitaba. So she is the one who caused the Yoga Nidra of Vishnu, and then she also helped him slay Madhu and Kaitaba. And then Mahasaraswati is the Kaushiki in the Shumba Nishumbhavada. And she created so many other yoginis. So that is the Mahasaraswati. So now these three are there, Tamogunam, Rajogunam, Sattvagunam. And then Mahalakshmi told the other two, let's each create a male and female form with our gunam. So with that, Mahakali created Rudra and Bharati. So that's why Shiva and Saraswati are considered as siblings. And then Mahalakshmi with her Rajogunam created Brahma and Padma. So Brahma and Lakshmi are considered as siblings. And then Mahasaraswati with her Sattva Gunam created Vishnu and Gauri. So Vishnu and Gauri are siblings. So they are siblings because they have the same gunam. They are from the same source. Of course, everything is from the same source. In this particular thing, they are alike because they both have Sattva Gunam. They are kind, they are compassionate, they always are in favor of the devotees, they always come to our aid. Then Brahma and Bharati or Saraswati were made into a pair, and they created the cosmic egg. And then Gauri and Rudra or Shiva made into a pair, and they pierced through that egg and then manifested the universe. So to try and understand why are Vishnu and Gauri considered as siblings, Mahatmyam helps us, and it says it's because they have the same gunam. So let's take a look at a short story about Bhagamālinī. So Bhagamālinī is a garland of suns, but there is also a goddess called Bhagamālinī, and let's take a look at her story. Once upon a time, Shiva and Parvati were on the Mandara mountain. They were in a very happy mood and they were enjoying their time with each other. At that time, Parvati playfully closed Shiva's eyes. And we all know, with the blink of God's eyes, universes are created and destroyed. So closing Shiva's eyes is equivalent to destroying everything. So that made Shiva a bit mad. He said, you Parvati, you know so much, you shouldn't be doing that. So he was a little bit upset that she did that. And at the same time, when Parvati kept her hand near Shiva's eyes, we all know Shiva has 3 eyes and the third eye has fire. So it was really getting hot and her hands were sweating. So she took her hands off, and then when she took her hand out, a drop of sweat from her hand fell on the floor, and immediately it became a baby. And because Shiva's eyes were closed, that baby was blind. And because Shiva was a bit upset, that baby had the Asura Guna. So now they have a baby, and they called the baby Andhakasura. At that time, Hiranyaksha, who is Hiranyakashipu's brother, and he is the son of Kashyapa and Diti. And you may all recall, he is the one who hid the earth and he was killed by Vishnu in the Varaha Avatara. Hiranyaksha was praying to God, asking for a baby. So he wanted a son. So Shiva and Parvati gave Andhakasura to Hiranyaksha. And Hiranyaksha didn't mind that the baby was blind or anything. He was very happy to have a son, and he raised the son as his own, and he was very happy. And in a certain time, he got killed by Vishnu. So now Andhakasura was the next in line. So his dad was the king and he had to rule the kingdom. But unfortunately, what happened was all his relatives said, "You are blind, therefore you are not fit to be a king, and one of us will become the king." So they were trying to choose some of his cousins. This made Andhakasura feel very bad, and he also was very shocked to understand the true nature of these people. So Andhakasura went away and he did a penance for Brahma. For many years, he did a penance, and Brahma was very happy with his penance. And so Brahma came and said, "What would you like?" So Andhakasura said, "First, please give me vision." It was very important for him because blindness was the reason why he couldn't become a king of his own kingdom. So he said, "Please give me vision." So Brahma said immediately, "Okay, fine, you can have that." And then he said, "Please make me immortal. I should have no death." Because in his heart there was vengeance. He was denied something that was his. And so he wanted to show the world, and for that he wanted all the power, and he wanted this ability to defy death. And as usual, Brahma said, "Look, I cannot give you immortality. Anything that is born must die, and therefore you cannot ask for that. But if you want, you choose something else, I'll try to give that to you." So then Andhakasura thought and he said, "Okay, then give me the ability to create myself again or clone myself." So then he said, "If a drop of blood falls on the ground, then another Andhakasura should sprout out of it." So Brahma didn't find any reason to object it. He said, "Okay, fine, you will get this ability to clone yourself. If a drop of blood falls on the floor, another Andhakasura will be born." For Andhakasura, it effectively amounted to immortality because the body that he has now can be destroyed. But even if a drop of blood falls on the floor, immediately another Andhakasura will come. So he can live through that. So he can keep making copies of himself. So he was satisfied with that. He said, "Okay, thank you." And then he went. His first stop was to go to his kingdom. He took over the kingdom that was denied to him from the people who were ruling it. And so that was his first stop. Obviously, he had vengeance and he had frustration and bitterness in his heart for the way he was treated. And so he didn't stop there. He not just took over that kingdom, he went on to conquer the three worlds. So now he was the king of all three worlds. And only then he was able to settle down, and he felt like he had shown everybody who he is, and for treating him so lightly, and also for pointing to something that he had from birth, right? It was not his fault that he was blind. So he showed everybody. So now Andhakasura is a happy, proud king, and one day he is going to the Mandara mountain. So when he went to Mandara mountain, there he saw a sage who was deep in penance. And around that stage, there was a beautiful woman. And this woman was so beautiful. He has never seen anyone such a beauty, and he never tires of looking at her. But she's going about doing all the chores around there, cleaning the place, bringing water, everything, whatever is needed for the sage's penance. So he observes them for a few days and he realizes the sage is all the time doing penance. He's not even opening his eyes to look at this beautiful woman. But she is such a beauty that he cannot even take his eyes off of her. So then Andhakasura decides, such a beautiful woman must be with me, because I'm the king of three worlds, and anything that is beautiful or anything that's worth having should be mine. So what he decides is he sends his generals and he goes and tells Shiva. He's asking his generals to tell Shiva, "Hand over that woman to me," right? I want her. And so the generals go in an effort to go tell. By now you've all realized that sage and that beautiful woman are Shiva and Parvati. So Shiva is doing the penance and it is Parvati. So obviously where Shiva and Parvati are there is also Nandi. When the generals came, Nandi chased them away and said, "Don't even step anywhere here." Then the generals go one more time, and at that time Shiva's eyes are open, and so they say, "Hand over that woman." Shiva says, "If your king wants the woman, then he must come and get her. So you ask him to come." So now Andhakasura feels challenged. He is this mighty king of three worlds, and there is this sage who's sitting there doing penance every day, has the atrocity to say, "I won't hand over this woman, you come and fetch." So now it's a full-fledged war, And so he is bringing all his army and he is going to war with Shiva. In the meantime, the Devas also got to know that there is a war impending. So the Devas all started to help Shiva. So now there is a big fight with Devas and Shiva and Asura on the other side. And both of them are fighting valiantly, and the Devas' army is able to kill many Asuras. But unfortunately, what happens is these Asuras have a guru. His name is Sukracharya. And Sukracharya knows the Mrityu Sanjeevani mantra. Mrityu Sanjeevani mantra is one that can bring back people from the dead. So what he does is every time the Deva army kills the Asuras, he does this Mrityu Sanjeevani mantra and brings them back to life. So now this is becoming hard. A battle can be won only if one side loses and you kill all the people and then the other side is declared as victorious. Now everybody who's dead on the other side keeps springing back to life, which is very hard. So the Deva army is struggling. To add to their misery, this one of the generals called Bali is extremely powerful and he gobbled up all the Devas. So suddenly the Shiva's army lost all the people. So he didn't have many soldiers on his end because all the Devas got gobbled up by Bali. So then Shiva fought with Bali and finally Shiva killed Bali. And once Bali was killed, all the Devas came out. So now the army had soldiers again. And then Shiva was thinking about what to do with this Sukracharya because he keeps bringing all these people back to life. So Shiva gobbled up Sukracharya. And so now both sides, they can, it's equal now. So they can fight a war. If somebody is killed, they are killed. And he has also the soldiers. So the war is going on for a very long time. And then now Shiva is fighting Andhakasura directly. And every time he manages to injure Andhakasura or almost kill him, a drop of blood falls to the floor and then one more Andhakasura is springing up. Even Shiva himself got very tired. He's trying this over and over and over, and this is like a never-ending battle. How long will this go? So at that time, Shiva calls this deity called Bhagamālinī. And Bhagamālinī licks up all the blood before it can drop onto the floor. So she just catches hold of that and she drinks it all. So with the blood not being allowed to reach the floor, there is no more ability for Andhakasura to make copies of himself. So now the fight is going on between Shiva and Andhakasura. Finally, Shiva manages to pierce his trident into Andhakasura and then he holds Andhakasura up with that trident. For 1,000 years, Andhakasura was hanging from the trident of Shiva. Any blood was all taken over by Bhagamālinī. And finally, after 1,000 years, Andhakasura realizes that it was not okay to want Parvati. Effectively, Parvati is like his mother. So to lust after her was inappropriate. So he realizes his mistake and he asks for forgiveness from Shiva. And Shiva forgives him and gives him moksha. So that is the story of Bhagamālinī. And the story of Andhakasura also has some very important learnings for us, right? If you look at Andhakasura's story, what does it say when you go beyond? It is Shiva and Parvati and Asura fighting, etc. What is the moral? What it shows is that kama or the desire, wanting something, is the root of all the evil. So if you look at kama, which is desire, if we get what we want, then we get greed. If we don't get what we want, then we get anger. So in Andhakasura's story, if you see, it all starts with him wanting to be a king. That's where it started. You can give hundreds of reasons and say, yeah, that was his, naturally, it was his father's kingdom and therefore he should be. Those are all excuses we can give, but it started with wanting to be a king. When he was denied that opportunity to be a king, the result was anger, krodha. So kama led to krodha. And then he found a way to somehow get what he needed. And when he got what he needed, that was his kingdom. He didn't stop with that, right? He now wanted to be the king of 3 worlds. So that is where it leads to lobha, greed. And once he got that with greed, then what happened? He had this pride. I am the best. I have everything in this world. So that is where madam, that is the pride that was there. And then what happens with this pride? To always think, oh, this is all mine, I'm the best, I can. Then what happens is it becomes such a part of our identity that we can't live without it. So that becomes moham, right? Attachment or lust. And then we think everything good should be ours. And that's what happened to him. He thought, I have the best, I'm the king of three worlds, I'm great. And then he saw something beautiful, a woman, and something he didn't have. Therefore, he wanted it for himself. And when Shiva said that he won't hand over Parvati, what happened? He got jealous that someone else has something good that he doesn't have. And always lust leads to jealousy. If we don't, we want it so badly, if we can't get it, we are jealous of the person who possesses it. So that led to the Matsaryam. So Kama leads to Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha and Matsaryam. And that's why it is always important for us to take control of our desires. And if we align our desires with Devi's will, with her Icha, which is the purpose of our sadhana, then we can start to realize that Devi, who is residing in the heart region, in our heart, and that's the Devi who is bhānumaṇḍala madhyasthā. So if we align our will with our desire with Devi's will, then we will be able to recognize that Devi who's residing in the bhānumaṇḍala madhyasthā. That's all for today. Thank you.